Okay, what I'd like to do now is go through the process of unit conversion. Now, unit conversion is when you change from one unit of measurement to another. And what that means, for example, if this was a length in meters, but you did not measure the object using meter as a unit, but instead you used this unit called centimeters, we want to convert from centimeters to meters. Now, why do that? And the answer is because in chemistry, many of the equations require that you use the measurement in meters, or perhaps you use the measurement in grams and not kilograms. So when you make a measurement, you have to convert it to units that the equation is expecting it to be in. And so that means you're going to have to convert. Now, when you make a conversion, what you need to recognize is there's something referred to as a unit ratio. And a unit ratio simply says how many of one unit makes up another unit. For example, 100 centimeters has the same length as 1 meter. But wait, that can be written as 1 times 10 to the second centimeters is the same as 1 meter. It's the same thing. But we can write that another way. We can say that 1 centimeter is the same as 1 times 10 to the minus second meters. And you can go through a whole list of items that show you this relationship. Now, take a look at this. This is a reference table, and it shows you kilometers, it shows you centimeters, it shows you micrometers, and relative units of that. Over here, this is converting from the metric meter into a length of yard, inches that convert to 2.54 centimeters, and you can go on and on. In reality, we don't use a lot of these relationships. In this practice problems, we're going to ask you to solve for some of these. But in reality, what we really work with is we work with kilograms to grams, or kilometers to meters. We work with centimeters converted into meters. Milliliters gets converted. So there's going to actually be just some of these that you will work with on a regular basis, but you need to recognize that there are unit ratios that you will work with throughout all. So let's now solve an actual problem. Okay, the problem I want to solve now is the following. Switch our colors. So let's do the following. Convert 286 centimeters. Let's convert that to how many meters? Okay. Now, shorthand, and in this course, you'll be allowed to work with shorthand conversions. If you know them in your head, that's great. But the shorthand says that 286 centimeters, you move it twice because it's 10 to the second, and that becomes 2.86 meters. Voila. You're going to encounter some conversions that are more complex. You're going to solve for molar volume. you're going to be asked for molar mass. You're going to be asked to solve for kilojoules per mole. So there's a number of relationships that you'll have to convert that are not as familiar. So let's take a look at the longhand method of doing this. So what you do is you start out with your unit ratios. And again, you will see this extensively in the course using units you may not be familiar with. So in this problem, the unit ratio is 100 centimeters is the same as 1 meter. Now, you could say this is a fraction. Not in chemistry. When we see these things set up, we refer to them as ratios. Now, mathematically, yes, it's 100 divided by 1. But for chemists, what you're looking at is a relationship between two units, centimeter units and meter units. Now, do I have to write it as 100 centimeters over 1 meter? You do not. You can write it in the following manner. 1 meter over 100 centimeters. That, in fact, is the same thing as what you wrote here. You just flip the ratio, and it works. But that's not the only way you can do this. What you can also write down is you can say that 1 times 10 to the second centimeters is the same as 1 meter. Naturally, this is just using scientific notation to show this idea. And finally, you can have 1 times 10 to the minus second meters is the same as 1 centimeters. So all of these are referred to as unit ratios, and they're unit ratios because this value on the top is the same as this value on the bottom. And as I've indicated, you can get the unit ratio, centimeters to meters, off of this document. It will tell you is what relates to what in a unit ratio. So, going back to our issue, we did the shorthand method. How do I now solve using the longhand? Well, here's how we approach it. I'm going centimeters to meters, so the first thing I do is I write down the unit ratio. We're going to keep this bad boy simple, so we're going to say 1 times 10 to the second centimeters is the same as 1 meter. And as I've tried to show you, you could have written it 1 meter over 1 times 10 to the second centimeters. But we'll write it this way for no other reason than it's convenient. Now, but we don't have 1 times 10 to the second centimeters. We have 2.86 times 10 to the second centimeters. And our question is, how many meters is that? If 1 times 10 to the second centimeters is 1 meter, then if I have 2.86 times 10 to the second, how many meters is that? So what you now do, you set this up as a ratio. I understand the math behind it is simpler than this, but you can be seeing this in other forms in chemistry. So let's take a look at that. So 1 times 10 to the second centimeters is multiplied times x meters, which is equal to 2.86 times 10 to the second centimeters times 1 meter. Now, this will be important to take a look how to set this thing up. So I'm going to skip to another page and actually work this out. Right, so here I've rewritten it again, And so what we're going to do is we're going to divide both sides by 1 times 10 to the second centimeters. Divide this side by 1 times 10 to the second centimeters. And so this cancels this, and x meters is equal to, and what we'll do is we'll multiply this out and say 2.86. Notice our methods. 2.86 times 1 is 2.86. We add our exponents, 2 plus 0, so it's times 10 to the second. That's going to be over 1 times 10 to the second. Notice our 10 to the seconds cancel, and now you get x meters equals 2.86. Voila. Clearly a longhand method, but it does allow us to work through this unit conversion.